Richie says, I have more of a business question from your time in the repair shop. Oh, I like this. This is going to be interesting. If you weren't doing the YouTube thing and a shop was your goal, would you lean more towards retail, mobile, mail-in, or all three? I'll answer that first before I read the second question. My exact strategy for repairing as a business, if I wasn't in my content creation space right now, I would have started off the way I started off, getting intrigued, going onto YouTube, buying stuff for cheap, and just getting stuck in, taking it apart, putting it back together, like I always preach in the school, right? Just take it apart, put it back together, basic screwdriver set. I also have to put myself into the mind frame of I'm working full time at this point as well. I had no children at the time, so I would still be spending my weekends and any free time I had to really go for it and just try and learn as quickly as I can and expect failure, embrace failure, and learn from my fails. So that's the mindset that I would take on. My ultimate goal when I started my repair journey was repair as a service. I knew very quickly after watching Tronics Fix and other people on YouTube that there wasn't great money in buying, fixing, and selling. I knew that wouldn't be a big thing unless you had really good contacts and you were able to get those devices for really cheap or free and then sell on eBay, eventually make your own website, etc. to just, get your costs down as much as possible. One thing I learned is that I had the aspiration to have a repair shop. That was the thing for me. It's like I wanted a repair shop. But then when I went to work at the repair shop, it changed very quickly the mentality that I had. When I first got there, it was great. It was very stressful. I was chucked in at the deep end. Like the owner said to me, we had the interview. I started, I think it was a couple of weeks after that. He was like, yeah, just go, just do your thing. I've seen what you're capable of doing on YouTube and when I went in for my interview and stuff. So he was like, just go for it, So I was chucked in the deep end very quick, which looking back on it wasn't ideal because these are customers' devices as well. So he's put a lot of trust in me there. Yeah, you could argue it was a really good way to learn, but I shouldn't have learned like that on customer devices. I should have got a little bit more confident because I had the issues with like fluxy HDMI ports on PlayStation 5s and all of those things, right? And so the stress was unbearable at times. It was a lot of stress because you're dealing with people's customers. They've got pictures, sentimental value. There's a lot of stress there. I quickly realized from working in that business, in the retail aspect, that there was a lot of cost associated with it. Electric, staff running costs, rent, other overheads that you had, getting there every day and back. So, how much time do you spend in a car, in travel? All of these little factors you have to bear in mind. Sometimes my journey, I'd bike in, it would be 30 minutes. If I drove in, sometimes it could take 45. That's almost 2 hours of your day gone. Where if you have something like a mail-in service and you work from home, then you don't have any travel. And suddenly you've got 2 hours of your day back. You haven't got any overheads other than potentially your mortgage or rent that you're currently paying. You don't have any staff to look after because you're currently working on your own. You can cut a lot of these costs by just offering a mail-in service. That doesn't mean that it doesn't come with your own stress. So if I didn't have the YouTube aspect and the YouTube side of things, I would have focused on getting as good as I could from home. And let's say as well, I never went into the repair shop, but I had the mentality of doing the mail-in service. I would have done that. I would have documented my repairs online and just at least had some local recordings or a place for me to just put everything. Because as a marketing strategy, I could use that to show people what my quality of work was like. Say I spent the first couple of years just doing it as a side hustle and a hobby and selling those devices or, and just building my knowledge and, surrounding myself with other people. I'd get involved in Discord and any free communities that if there was a school back then, I would have joined that. But if there was any free communities, I would just get involved and try and repair things and get advice from people who have done it better than me and learn from them. I would definitely look to set something up at home. Bearing in mind as well that I wouldn't have had a YouTube presence at that point. I'm not trying to necessarily protect my home too much. I wouldn't look to venture off as a business just yet. So I wouldn't have set up something to separate because it's quite expensive actually to set up a limited company here in the UK, which is ultimately what I've done now for Joey Does Tech Limited. It's good to do that if you are working at home and you're earning really, really good money. And if you earn over a certain amount, I think it works out to be around about 80 or 90,000 pound, then you can really start to see some benefits of going into a limited company. For me, it was because of I wanted to protect myself. from a liability standpoint. So I made a company. I had my address elsewhere and everything. All my correspondence would go to a separate address and nobody would know where I live personally. Again, putting my head into the other headspace, wouldn't necessarily need to worry about that too much. Or you could still have a PO box, something like that, and have people send devices to that. But I would have started off with friends and family, posting on Facebook, posting on my close circles, just letting people know I'm doing this, offering the service for free once I was comfortable to do so after maybe a year or two, however long it would potentially take you. Slowly but surely build up your portfolio of doing those free repairs, you know, recording them, showing clips off, telling people this is what I do, this is how I do it. And then eventually, you know, word of mouth is a huge thing. So off the back of that, the word spreads that somebody knows somebody who can do phone repairs or console repairs or whatever it is that you choose to specialize in. And slowly but surely you'll build your customer base by doing that. Yes, it's great to have a shop and to have a presence on a high street, but the costs that ultimately come with that are horrendous. And I think it'll be extremely hard, the transition from going from having a high street shop and all of those costs and everything to then doing something like a mail-in and doing it from, I don't know, somewhere that is like your house privately. I think that transition is going to be really difficult because you've already established yourself on the high street. So your customer base is going to drop more than 50%. But so are your costs. So there, you know, I don't know about that because I've not personally done it, but I mean, it would definitely be an interesting thing to look at. But I would say you want to start small, start on your own. If you find success and you seem to be making great money and you think that you can outsource some things to other people and train people up and have them make some money for you as well, that's also a good opportunity. But I hope I kind of covered step one. And now let me look at step two, which is, would you focus on only consoles or would you be a one-stop shop? Aren't they the same thing? Oh no, wait, one-stop shop is covering everything, I guess, right? Richie's goal is to have a shop one day, but I struggle with deciding, should I learn one or two things and become really good at it? It means a shorter learning curve. I'll try everything else until it takes longer, but won't eventually mean that I can have more business by turning away less. Specialist versus generalist. Yeah, so James made a really good post about this the other day. What I think matters a lot when it comes to repair is repairing items you enjoy. Now, we all have our like pain when it comes to repair, but that ultimately makes the job feel very good and rewarding. I personally love consoles, modern consoles, Xbox One S, which are going into like slightly retro now, I guess. Nintendo Switches, PS5s, Xbox Series X consoles. You could argue that they're a lot harder to repair than what consoles were like back in the day. This all swings and roundabouts. The reason I like working on modern day consoles is because as a business venture, especially, it's not even necessarily anything to do with that. I was trying to think like you, and this is what you wanted to do. Working in modern day consoles, you're up to date with things. There's always going to be a market for retro tech and modding and things like that. But I'd say you want to do things you enjoy. So try and repair everything. Try and go for phones, tablets. Like you might enjoy replacing batteries and screens. There's nothing wrong with that. And it's really good money. So if that is something that you enjoy, crack on with that. And then you can expand later on down the line. The thing that's going to hurt you is not doing anything at all. And that's what I try and preach in the school group. It's like, you just need to try and get your hands on faulty stuff. You might buy I've done this. I've bought a digital camera. I bought 7 of them or 6 of them on eBay. And I was like, yeah, I'll get into cameras. I opened one. I said, never again. I didn't even look at the rest. I don't know where the box went. I think I listed it on eBay and said, I'm done with it. Because I just didn't enjoy the experience of taking digital cameras apart because they're really difficult. But when it comes to consoles, I think as well, what ties into it is there was a lot of information out there available on YouTube for repairing consoles. So I was able to learn for free. So it really depends. But if I was doing it now, if I was to go alone, go solo, consoles would be my thing 100%. And do not worry about competition. Do not worry about the amount of faulty devices that are out there. Don't think like that. Because if you have a good enough business and you're good enough at repair and you're good at customer service, people won't go to these other places. There is so much room for other techs to start businesses with repair. Yes, it's getting harder, but ask yourself, if it's getting harder, how many people are going to drop out? You know, there's going to be other techs and other businesses that are going to close because they're finding it too difficult, but there will always be a way of repairing devices. It might be a lot harder than what it used to be, but therefore it might be more rewarding. I do know that the world is in a bit of a state where it's getting harder to repair and less rewarding. But things, if you just focus on, I'll give you examples. You focus on PS5 HDMI ports and just put out some marketing strategy on HDMI ports, get the word out around. If you charge 60, 70 pounds, when you're starting out, you might want to go really low, as long as you've got experience, remember. You might want to go, 50 pounds with a 6-month warranty or a year warranty. You should probably do like longer warranty for the 50, 60 pound at this point when you're starting out. Just give like a year's warranty and say, look, I'll get it sorted. Any questions, any issues that you've got within that year, just bring it back, because chances are you're not going to be booked out. So you'll have time to deal with those repairs. As you get busier, you can start offering maybe a little bit less of a warranty. You work your way down to 6 months. Depends how busy you get. There's so many different avenues and different ways of actually making money in the repair game. But HDMI ports can be really, really good. If you can nail them down, PS5 HDMI ports, because they break so often, and we're in a time at the moment where GTA 6 is coming out. People are going to want to get their devices repaired. The PS5 is like one of the most bought consoles in history. Of course, they're going to break. And if you could do that job for 50, 60 pounds, save somebody almost £400-500 at the moment, it's a no-brainer. You just have to advertise, and you have to get your name out there. You have to practice. But you have to be good at it. Before you move on to customer repair, you have to be good at it. I really want to preach that.